Hi there, I'm Shauna Robbins, founder and CEO of Third Spark, and today I have a pleasure of doing an Authority Magazine interview with Ramona Coleman. Ramona Coleman is an Afro-Latina mother, spiritualist, and transformational coach. She's dedicated to guiding others on their journey of self-discovery and spiritual growth. She leads with compassion and draws wisdom from her spiritual guides, mentors, and teachers. Ramona, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So tell me a little bit about how you got started in this field of transformational coaching.
Well, Shauna, for years and years and years, I wanted to do coaching. I thought I could be pretty good at it, but I never ventured in because I had my corporate jobs and, I just kept going with that. Meantime, I did a lot of spiritual work with people, which forced me to actually do a lot of coaching with them. And so what happened is in 2020, I made a decision that I was going to really pursue this venture of coaching. I've always wanted to do it. And the universe opened up a situation where I was now retired, home, and saying to myself, what's next?
Mhm.
So I went and got my accreditations for coaching. And as I got started and started working with people, I realized really how much I loved it and that it's something I've been doing all along. It's just that once I was able to go through the educational piece of it, I got to understand specific questions and what was really important and how to follow up with that and how not to leave people exposed and to understand things from a different level. So coaching has always been a thing. And most of the people who are my spiritual mentees, when I told them that I was going to get accreditations for coaching, they were like, "You've been doing that all along."
Mhm.
And I go, yeah, kind of. And they go, oh, you're going to be great at it. This is going to be wonderful. It's definitely, that's your wheelhouse. And so it was a lot of encouragement going forward, but it has really opened up a lot of awareness. And I'm glad I took the venture and I enjoy really doing it a lot.
So when you work with clients as a transformational coach, what are some of the things that you're seeing, especially with women, even
Mhm.
women of color? What are you seeing that they want to focus on? What's top of mind for them?
When you emphasize women of color, what they're looking for is something to help them deal with the times.
Mm.
What is going on in our world today. It is very, very harsh for a woman of color to cycle through and constantly be able to stand up, show up, fight through. And then at the end of the fight, we might win a step or two. But once we're there, everybody wants to knock us back down. It's hard to hold on to. So here we have in this latest time factor where the world seems to me and other people of color like has totally spun out of control.
Hmm.
When I have clients come through, one of the things that I try to do is see where are they at? What is their feeling about what is happening? And see how that interplays with what it is that they're trying to get from the coaching. And so quite often, they'll come through and everything that's going on in the world is like a trigger for something that they're not understanding. Why is this happening this way to me? And
Mm.
so when you're coaching someone, it's not about what anybody else is experiencing. It's really about that person, the person that you're coaching, their client. What are they feeling in this moment? And so when I talk to them, and try to get to the bottom of the thing. I try to really open the door a little bit more based on what they're saying to me, based on their words. Even if they're explaining something they saw, I get to then say, to be more curious and ask them, well, how did that impact you? And ask them the question, well, what informed that decision? And things along that nature that I think all coaches do. But for me, when I'm talking to a person of color, he usually gets into an avenue of things I well understand. It gets into a space where they're feeling wrong, and I get an opportunity to help them see where they're not wrong.
Mm.
That this is not your fault. These things are not true, and help them to be able to balance the world, so to speak, underneath their feet so that they can keep going forward and not to always make them feel as though they have to show up because they're tired. They're tired of the fight. They're tired of, constantly standing up for themselves and getting knocked down and knocked around because they believe what they believe is true. And you live in this world, you see what's going on. And too often this is painful. It's scarring, it's traumatizing, and it leaves people um, a little shock, a little shell shock, tired. The fatigue level is really, really big. And so when I start to coach them, it's always about pulling out of them what is it they want to see in the world.
Mm,
And what do they feel that they can do to make it different? Because it's not about right or wrong. It's about helping them get to where they want to be,
mhm.
you
So that
know?
personal empowerment piece is a huge part of what you do and what you offer through your program.
Absolutely. And thank you for phrasing it that way, because I am a believer in empowering women. And I'm a believer in empowering anybody who I am helping to crack the code, who I am helping to learn more about themselves, who I'm helping to do anything. If there's knowledge that I have that I can share that may make a difference for them walking and in their daily walk, I'm definitely going to give it to them. I absolutely believe in the empowerment of others.
Mm. Now, tell me
Yeah.
how your spirit guides play a factor in this. I know that that's a big part for you.
Yeah. I shouldn't say because you don't know. Here I am talking with you. But my spirit guides talk to me often. They're always um, giving me guidance and telling me, careful, watch out, left, right, all of these things. Now, some people, I know that they have a spiritual background. So it's a little easier to have a conversation with them about those. But people who do not have the same spiritual background that I do, but they're coming because they want help, what I do is try to find out where are they at? What do they believe is their higher power? And then I try to help them focus in on how does that interplay in your life? And I wait for my spirit guides to give me the
Mm,
question to ask. All along the way, I'm curious, but quite often they're saying, ask them this. And I'll ask them the question, and quite often they go, how did you know to ask me that?
mm,
And I just smile. And "Oh, based on what you're telling me. But my spirit guides talk to me often and they help guide and direct me. And I believe everybody's spirit guides does that for them. It's like, every mother has that experience. They just don't know that they're having an experience because they go, something told me to.
mm,
They never say what the something is. They can't assign a name or classification for it, but they go, something told me to hurry up and go pick up my child. And then
mhm,
when they got there, they realized, oh, something, was happening and they needed to be present. Something told me to, I don't know, pick up the bus, because mother's love. And so that's all spirit in your walk, in your body, in your system guiding you. So I
mm,
try to help those people that are looking for that information and they want to be more um, sure about, am I crazy or is this real healing? Like, am I hearing what I'm hearing? All of those kinds of things, I'm there to assure them. And I do it with the coaching, and I can bring them back to times that, because they listened, it changed the trajectory of their life. Because they listened, it helped them help someone else.
mm.
Because they listened, they saved themselves from something. So yeah, that's how my spirit guides come into play. And um, I'm very, very focused about that. And it depends on who the client is, what are we covering, what has been the conversations from the past that I can link into what's happening today. Because quite often, if you're talking to someone and they give you insight into their life and they're telling you, yes, it was important in my household that everybody graduated from school. School was a big emphasis. I would get punished if I didn't do well. Then that's a piece of information that you have to go forward.
Hmm.
And then what I do is percolate with that and listen to what my spirit guides will share, and then offer me a question that helps open up a door that gives new discovery to the person that I'm speaking to.
Wow. Okay, so how do you recommend that somebody becomes connected with their spirit guides if they would like to explore this as an option? Because like you said, we do
Mhm.
have these like quick gut instincts,
Yeah.
right? Knowing that
Hmm.
something is off or feeling like we
Hmm.
should be someplace else. What if you want to continue to develop that? What do you recommend?
So this is one of my big recommendations to everyone. Stay in connectivity with your higher source. What
Hmm.
does that mean? For some people, it means prayer. And people get very caught up. Oh, I don't want to pray. I don't like to pray. But all prayer is a conversation with God.
Hmm.
So it doesn't have to be anything that you learned in school or you learned in church or you learned wherever you learned those prayers or a prayer you read in a book. It could be your own conversation with God in the moment to talk about that ache, that angst, that thing that you need help with. So that's one thing that offers connectivity. I also tell people to meditate. That's another thing. If you can sit silently with yourself, and I don't mean that they have to sit and not hear anything, think anything, because it's very difficult for the brain to do that, to just shut off and be silent.
Hmm.
So you sit and you, at times, some people I've learned, oh, you know what, go get a guided meditation because they need someone else's voice to
Right.
help take them through whatever the steps are, or go get music. Some people can relax totally in music. And as they're sitting there and relaxing, a message may come through about something and they go, oh, I got the answer for something. You know, I definitely tell people to write down their dreams.
Hmm.
It's kind of a profound thing that people realize that they can dream and they'll, oh, I dreamt that this was going to happen, but they never connected to spirit coming to them when it's easier to come to them where they're more receptive to receive and spirit gives them the answers that they need. So if I had to give a top three, that would be it to say prayer, stay in connectivity with your higher source, whatever it may be. Um, to definitely do meditations. Give yourself some quiet time. Be able to sit for 5 minutes. You don't have to sit for a half hour. Sit for 5 minutes quiet. It might be you looking outside and staring at the birds or staring at some flowers. Or, in New York here we've had a blizzard. But it's beautiful. The snow on the ground is absolutely beautiful. So it could be that you just look out your window and stare at the snow and take yourself into that meditation of what that is like to have this snow on the ground and nobody has stepped on it yet and it's beautiful. Different things like that. Or walk in nature.
Hmm.
If you walk in nature, that's a opportunity to go in within yourself, and think through things. Not beat yourself up, just process life. That can help you meditate as well. And writing down your dreams. There's so many more things that you can do, but those are the top things that I would say. Pay attention, pay attention to all the signals that you are given. And you start to notice that, I've been given a lot of signals. And I tell everyone who's ever been in my workshop, once you hear a signal, once they tell you, oh, stop, you're walking across the street, they go, stop. And when you stop, and all of a sudden you realize here comes a speeding car. And
Hmm.
had you taken another step, a danger would have come to you. And then you go, oh, that I heard stop, but I don't know where it came from. And then something else happens again. At some point, just say thank you. Thank you for helping me to stop in the right moment. Thank you for telling me to hurry up and send out that application so that I could get an interview. Thank you for, whatever it is. And then the more that you acknowledge that you hear them and that you're willing to be guided by them, the more they show up and guide you.
That's
And
beautiful.
let me interject to just say that they don't show up in a way that scares you. And all of a sudden you walk in a room and, you see another person and you don't know who that is. I'm talking about from a very energetic, telepathic kind of way.
Mm. So how many, I mean, can you have a lot of spirit guides? Do most people just have one main one? Or is
My
it
under,
different? per
No,
person?
finish your question.
Yeah, yeah. Is it like, do you find that it tends to be that there's a group of spiritual beings that guide people, or is it just, one particular that is your main spirit guide?
Well, I think everybody has a main spirit guide. My understanding and my belief is that when you are born, the spirit that is there to walk with you, help you, guide you, comes into this world with you.
Mm,
You come into consciousness, they are present, they're by your side. And so, to answer your question, everybody has a main guide. Whether you know it or not, everybody has one. And then you have multiple guides. Absolutely. Some people have townships. Some people can, look and there's a whole lot that are guiding them. There isn't any one set rule for your spirit guides. But I would say everybody has multiple spirit guides. And one of some of the people that I followed was like Sylvia Brown, Dolores Cannon, people like that you can understand their process
mm,
and it relates to your process. That helps validate even for the spiritualists that they're not crazy and that they're hearing things true to form. And one of the things that I hear from a lot of spiritualists, a lot of mediums, that their spirit guides let them know, and they talk about this earth school that
mm,
we are all in, and they talk about that most people, all people, have so many spirit guides that you literally can fill an auditorium.
wow.
And when you need help with something, that's how you should look at it. Like you go into the auditorium, call forth all your spirit guides, and just visualize energy. If you have to see them as people, different kind of people, however you have to envision them, and just say, "This is what I need help with," and they will be more than happy to help you. And to start moving things in a way that you start walking in a trajectory that is good for you.
Mm. Can you also use that for other people too that you're praying for, or that you feel need help that maybe can't speak for themselves? Like, for example, my mother's very ill right now and she's unable
Mhm,
to, speak for herself or pray for
mhm.
herself. Do you feel like there's a power in surrounding someone else, asking for someone else to be helped and supported?
Absolutely. Very much so. First of all, there's also your mom. So
Hmm.
you can send your spirit guides to
Mm,
go help her, to
okay.
take care of her, to keep her safe. You also can speak to her higher self and her spirit guides and say, "This thing is going on. Please, please keep her in safety. To stop her before she hurts herself." Or whatever it is that's the need in
Hmm.
this time of working with your mother. Make sure that the people who come around her are loving people, that no one comes into her space to harm her.
Mm.
That there will always be some way of you finding out that she might need your help or your siblings or any other family member's help.
That's so beautiful. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. I feel
Mhm.
so calm and comforted by what you just told me.
Oh,
The
great.
idea that I could send a protective force of love
Hmm. Hmm.
and light for my mother whose health is failing is incredibly empowering, right?
Yeah,
Instead of just sitting on the outside and the doctors are like, nothing we can do. You have
right.
to wait this out. There's nothing that we can help you with. The idea that there is something that you can do, there is some way that
Absolutely.
you can help yourself and others. Like, I
Yeah.
think that that's a beautiful message right now that offers hope for
Yeah.
a lot of people.
Yes. And then, I'm glad you mentioned the spiritual light because that's also something you can send her way. Envision her sitting in God's healing light. Envision the light straight coming down from the universe, coming down upon your mother, and it's filled with healing, medicine, love, all the things that a body needs, a person needs to
Mm,
help settle them. And you could just bring that light down upon her, call into the light all your loving thoughts, and that would be helpful to her as well. So in this, I'm listening to myself tell you about sending light of healing. I do it every morning for people that I know, some people I don't know, other people ask me to pray for them and I do so. And one of the things that I'm absolutely certain of is that prayer works. One thing I'm certain of, another thing I should say I'm certain of is that God's light exists. And there are spiritual beings that are here to help us. So some people say, well, then why did that happen to me yesterday? How come my mother is sick? How come? Because we as human beings, as spiritual beings coming into a human body, have taken on the challenges that come with that.
Mm.
And so part of the challenges may be that you have to do a course 2 times before you get it. Part of the powers, the challenge might be in there that, oh, you have to go through a divorce.
Mm.
Nobody wants that. Everybody wants everlasting love, but that's not part of the walk here. And it's the lesson. We say challenges, but it's the lessons that we learn every time we go through one of these situations. And everybody's situation is different. People, anything that looks better to you when let's just say the 1%, they look like they don't have a pain in the world. From the place of all our vision of all the angst that we have daily, all the trials and tribulations we have.
Mhm.
Yes, they have trials and tribulations. They just look different from ours. And we can't understand that because that's not our life. But everybody that's here has to go through the challenge, has to learn, has to grow. And so even with my coaching clients, I've had a coaching client recently where I had to say to her, of course, I established her understanding of spirit and her higher self. I said, but your higher self designed your walk. So
Mm.
everything you're going through for your own lessons.
Mm.
And I had to say, of course, as hard as that is to hear, because I've had people yell at me, what do you mean? Why would I choose this? Because at the time, you didn't have your ego self attached. You were pure spirit. And as pure spirit, and you say, I want to go down there to that earth school. I want to grow and learn. I want to grow more. And by growing, I want to go through the trials and the tribulations. And you choose your walk. You choose your journey. And so we're all, like they say, I remember when I was a kid, they used to say, I used to hear people say earth school, and I didn't understand what they meant. But truly, it's earth school. It's just like when you go to school and you pick your major,
Mhm.
right? And then you go, why did I pick that? I hate this, right? But in the meantime, you got to figure out how do you take the last 2 years of coursework and move it and shift it over to what you think you might want to do. And then you do that. And then you graduate. And guess what? You don't even work in the field
Right.
of that.
Right.
But you've gone through the process of learning. You learned that you have the discipline to complete school. You learned that you may not have patience for tests. You learned that, you know what? I do better not being around blood. I don't need to become a doctor. I thought I would want that, but nope, I don't want that. Maybe I'll go become a therapist,
Mm.
or something else. But all along the way, everything that's here, we're learning and growing from. We're witnessing even what happens to others. All the stuff that we see in the news, we're all traumatized by it because we go, what is happening? And even those who go, yay, that's happening, also are growing and learning on their walk.
Mm.
They're growing and learning on their work. They get to a point because I believe that a lot of things that we see in the world go on, I don't think everybody wanted to go as far as it might have gone.
Mm.
They wanted so that my life is better. But oh my God, I didn't mean for them to take it to that end.
Mm.
But here we are. So
Right.
now we learn that when we say, yeah, get them, that the consequences of what get them means. On and on I could go. But know that as a spiritual being, this is the walk you chose. And I really believe that if people can acknowledge it, it makes the walk a little easier. And it took me a long time to be here with this message. But I learned it. You see, I have no hair and I didn't have to do anything, but my hair was falling out for many, many, many reasons. And I was just like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. And for 3 days straight, when I woke up in the morning, I heard, you chose this.
Mm.
You chose this for 3 days straight. And then the third day, I said, okay, enough. I called my son, take me to your barber. I cut it all off. I played with the barber and told him in the middle of it, say, "Oh my God, no!" And he was free. Everybody was freaked out, and then I busted out laughing. I had a good time, and then I came home, and I looked in the mirror, and I was happy. And
Mm,
I said to myself, I said, "I wonder if I'm going to be happy in the morning, the next day." And I woke up the next day, and I was happy. And every time I looked in the mirror, I smiled, and the weight was off. There was a weight that wasn't there anymore. Now, a little bit more of the backstory. I grew up in a household of people with long, luxurious hair.
mm,
Hair was a big, big deal. And for women of color, hair is a big deal. So to take the step to cut it off was major. But I realized once I cut it off, oh my God, the relief. I had joy. And then I understood when they said, "You chose this." So now when you hit your challenge, how how hard are you gonna push yourself to
mm,
get to the other side of it? And at any age, for anybody that might be viewing and listening to this, I know there's a point they can go back to and they can look at what they did and the struggle they went through and how they got through it. Whether it took them hours or years, they got through it. They got away. They reinforced themselves. They went back to school. Whatever it was that they did, and they look at that struggle and they go, "Wow, I did that. Wow, I'm brave.
mm,
Oh, it took courage to say no and walk away." If people can go back and look at those times in their life, they're realizing, they can realize that they are being challenged, and then they go through the challenge. And when they get to the other side, they're happy that they've gone through that, but they understand they have new information that
mhm,
now is part of their walk. And then each time it gets this next challenge, because the next challenge is coming. We're not here just to live a life on the beach. Otherwise, that's all we all would do. And then that would be a problem because everybody complaining you're taking up too much of the beach.
mm.
You know?
Ramona, amazing. This was so incredible. I just learned so much from being able to be in your presence and just hear the way that you see the world, the way that you encourage, empower. I can see why clients find working with you so transformative because I've only spent 20 minutes with you and I feel transformed. So
Oh, beautiful.
I really appreciate you being here with me today.
Thank you for having me. I hope my words have helped someone to think about the process, to think about their walk, and to think of what that looks like in their life to have spirit that is there just for them, that
Mm,
is there to help them and guide them.
mm.
So I hope people will receive that.
I'm sure they will. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great day, Shauna.
You too.